Sometimes I don't even understand myself. When I like things, I will get super obsessed about it until the spark is gone. So, in an attempt to understand myself better, I've decided to make a list of what makes me super excited, super fixated throughout the year 2022. And since it's already like a last week of December, I can finally summarize my extensive list that I called Hyperfixation 2022. Hades was a spillover from last year December because I finally played the game and it was so much fun. I usually don't enjoy roguelike games because dying usually means a loss of progress. But Hades was exceptionally good at treating death. You get to experience different dialogues from the residents of House of Hades every time you die. I totally recommend that game. And big news from Supergiant Games, Hades 2 is in the making. I'm super excited to continue my journey into the Hades universe.
He is no mere titan. He is time itself, and time cannot be stopped.
Wind Boys is an idle management gacha game. It was about a school that course in wind instruments. What makes me hooked is the original songs from the game are so good. I spent quite a lot of money rolling for this sweet role of a man. His name is Takara and he is a sweet boy whom I will protect from any harm. I played the game for around 3 months before I finally decided to stop. I really can't play gacha games because I would literally spend my whole savings just to complete my favorite character set. I didn't want to go bankrupt again, so I move on to the next thing. Muse dropped a new single called Won't Stand Down and I immediately got super obsessed with the song. I went super stoked with the music video. I even made a theory video speculating about the whole story behind the video. You can watch the video here if you're interested. It was not a well-thought video essay, but I had fun collecting data and writing the script. I felt like a detective looking around Instagram looking for bits of lore to support my video, even though it's not a well-written script. But I truly enjoy making it. I got super obsessed with the song. I literally played this song for almost 1,000 times. I'm not even kidding. This is my Spotify data. Yeah. I watched a video by Call Me Kevin about a game called Valheim and I thought to myself, oh, this kinda looks interesting. So I bought the game even though it is still early access. It was a risk to buy an early access game, but turns out the game was so much fun to play. It had quite a lot of content for you just to sink into the universe. The graphic looks simple, but the visual and the environments are gorgeous. Just look at this view. Wow, it's just a beautiful world to be in it. I breathe and live in the universe for 1 whole month. I remember just waking up and going straight up play the game just to collect berries, chopping woods, and hunting trolls for the skin. My building skill is trash, but I enjoy designing and making my main base and docks throughout the area. I actually haven't picked up the game after the major update Mistlands. Maybe I'll pick up in the next year. I don't think I got fixated on anything in this month. That's a bit weird. I guess I was pretty busy with work. A game that I have waited for nearly 3 years, probably more, was released in this month. The game title is Friendly Lab. It's a mobile Japanese game where you conduct an experiment on 2 men who have lost their memories and you just sort of try to perform various experiments on them to see their emotional and physical limits and endurance. The experiment you conduct vary in intensity, from giving a puzzle for them to play with, and sometimes giving them a mold-covered bread, and you are also interrogate them for something. I didn't continue playing the game because later in the game, I kind of suspected that the character that we are playing is from a group of people who kidnap traumatized people and sort of brainwash them and trap them in a lab conducting experiments. So in my mind, if I stop playing the game, this man will no longer suffer in my hands. The game is weird, but it gives me a unique experience. If you can stomach various trigger warnings, you can try playing the game. It's available in Google Play and Apple Store. And you can also cultivate a baby in a tube. Why is this a feature in the game? Who knows, but there you have it. May is the month that I finally tried to play Final Fantasy XIV after months of hearing about the game. I was not familiar with the world of MMORPG, so Final Fantasy XIV is my first introduction to the genre. I started my trial accounts with this Blackhorn Aura boy, whom I accidentally made him look like Nishikiyama from Yakuza, so I named him Nishikiyame. God knows how my brain worked at that time. As a person who enjoys a story-driven game, the main quest hooked me right away. The trial begins with the Realm Reborn expansion. The story is about saving Eorzea from one bad dude collecting cards like it was Pokemon cards, and that bad dude also happens to be our ally's dad. Okay, I actually made the story sounded lame, but you need to experience it yourself. I also have this brain function called do everything at once, so I spend quite some time with the side quests, and goodness gracious, there are so many side quests, from classes to jobs to cities to grand companies to completing crafting log, gathering log, and the most important of all, fashion, because fashion is always the goal in this kind of game. I finished the first expansion and I was about to continue with the Heavensward when I realized, damn, I'm already halfway there to finishing the trial. If I want to keep on playing and enjoying the game, I have to dish out literally 70 plus ringgit every month. That was like what? Almost 800 ringgit per year? That's a bit too much for me. So, to avoid being attached to the game, I slowly back off from the universe. I love the story and the universe, but I love my money more. Maybe when I make more money, I'll revisit the idea of subscribing Final Fantasy XIV once more. Naturally, after I discovered the world of MMORPG, I was recommended a YouTube channel named Strife through his Worst Game Ever series. And boy, I binge watched the whole 160 plus episodes of the series. I learned a lot about the game design and what is MMORPG basically. I even caught up with the latest scams regarding the infamous Dream World and Earth 2. And wow, it was the juiciest gossip ever. There's not a single day when I go without watching his videos. It's kind of crazy to think back. I still watch his video on my second monitor if I needed to focus on something else. This was a tough month. For the longest time, I wanted to make a living out of my art. July is the month that I finally decided to just do it. I guess I learned what I needed to do and I tried doing a bunch of things. I tried to have a side hustle by selling stickers, postcards, and designing a bunch of keychains, but nothing felt right. Watching more successful content creators making side hustles that I wanted to didn't help either. It was around this time I lost my sense of purpose and sort of floating around aimlessly. That's when my sister introduced me to this singer Amir Masdi. I actually made a video about this, so if you're curious about my story, then feel free to watch it. But that video was made after I learned about him for a month. My hyperfixation with him lasted until early November. 5 months, yes, that's correct. 5 months straight. I never got super fixated on one thing for longer than 1 month, so when this fixation lasted for 5 months, I was actually surprised by myself. It was the most productive month of my life as well. My first ever live concerts. I followed him whenever he had public events, listened to Malay pop songs. I made fan arts of him, made basically my first ever art book and gave it to him as a birthday present, make stickers of him, have a display about him, and join a live show just because he appeared at the end of the show. Even I was impressed with myself. I will be super involved with anything that has any slight mention of his name. Every moment of my life will be gravitating towards him. Everyone knew I was super into Amir during this month. My family, my friends, my co-workers. Long story short, I became a simp of Amir Masdi. Am I embarrassed? Maybe a little bit, but I get to meet with the coolest people ever through this hyperfixation, so it was not that bad. It was crazy to think back. Actually, it was my fondest memory of the year. Now that the moment has passed, I've calmed down a bit and became just a casual fan of Amir Masdi. Although I'm no longer fixated on him, I still remember how I lived the moments. So, thank you very much, Amir Masdi, for being the catalyst for letting me just experience new things and just basically living my life. Later in November, my TikTok FYP was covered with this game character called Ghost from Modern Warfare 2. And naturally, I got super curious and watched a bunch of videos about this dude and got super into Call of Duty franchise at the spur of the moment. Unsurprisingly, the gamer side didn't particularly like what most of the fake fans have done to this character. I even made a video explaining the phenomenon of baby galification of Ghost. So if you're interested, here's the link. I almost bought the game because I wanted to play the campaign. I don't even like FPS genre. No, let me rephrase that. I get super nervous whenever I play a shooter game, so that's why I avoid games that features shooting basically. Just let me and my walking simulator game live in peace. After lurking on Ghost Tag in TikTok for a while, I was recommended a different kind of ghost. It was a rock band called Ghost. My very first exposure to the band was through someone's recordings of their live tours. My initial reaction was confused and appalled by their appearances. They are carrying this cult-like vibe through their imagery, and honestly, I got scared of looking at the vocalist who was wearing this satanic pop-like costume with that face paint. Yeah, they are definitely worshipping some kind of devil. But though I got scared of them, my curiosity was piqued when I saw a video explaining the ghost band lore. Something lit up in my brain. A lore behind the band? Something like Gorillaz and Poppy did in their career? Well, consider me interested. I love me some good stories. So, I pushed aside my scared and took a plunge and started listening to the songs. As expected, their songs are something that I cannot sing in public without making people turn their head to me while looking hella confused and scared. But their songs are great. It was like this mishmash of metal, alternate, progressive, theatric, rock. I don't know. Wikipedia describes their genre such as this. I've been listening to their discography for the whole month non-stop. This is my Spotify top tracks of this month. I didn't listen to anything else. It's only Ghost. I even made a checklist on which song that I've listened to in the summary. Now about the band's lore. Oh boy, it was interesting as heck. The lore is mainly delivered through chapters in their official Ghost YouTube channel and during their live tours. Someone already did a better job at explaining the lore than me, so I'm not going to pretend I know a thing or two about the lore. You know what? Maybe I'll make a video about that when I have a full grasp on the lore, and I have a confession to make. Papa Emeritus 3rd and 4th, they're looking kinda hard. Okay, I said it. I know I said it. I'm sucker for cool looking characters, but them? Both are literally old men whom one of them is already dead. And another one will probably be killed sometime in 2023. My brain is just, I see this man and I say, yes, man, hot. Maybe I'll just stop talking. Thank you for watching the video. I hope at least one person find this entertaining. That person is probably just me because I am my #1 fan. Well, I see you in the next video. Bye.